Emma, thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast. I'm so excited to have you here.
I always love talking to you, Beck. Our only problem will be stopping talking. So let's keep it tight.
Yeah, let's keep it tight. We've got 10 minutes, right? I'm starting the clock.
No, I saw the length of your episodes. I was like, oh gosh.
I know we suck.
I'm not the right person for this podcast.
Well, we're not the right people with each other for this podcast either.
But I love it. I love the name espresso. I love how it starts, and I've got my coffee. It's not an espresso.
Tell us what you're drinking.
I'm a latte kind of gal. Espresso martinis, yes. Lattes for my coffee. Thank you.
If we're recording the evening, we'll do espresso martinis next time.
Thank you. That would be better for me.
So today you are going to deliver some really important details around bios. And I love this because I think so many people out there don't actually know where to start with a bio, or they've just seen the traditional, hi, I'm Beck and this is what I do. And that's kind of a little vanilla and boring.
Absolutely. So how to write a bio with impact is something that I'm talking about at the moment, because it's what people come to me for, like that. And it's generally that they get asked for something. So even today you have asked me for my bio, and I could have freaked out because I don't have something, but I've got at least 5 different bios written. I actually said, which one do you want? Well, who am I today? Which Emma am I today? But I have a lovely bio that summarizes who I am. And what I find the problem with the bio sometimes is it is very heavily work focused and very heavily role and title focused. So people tend to write their bio based on the work that they're doing or what they're doing, as opposed to who they are. And we've got to think of our bio as an introduction and a summary. And obviously when we're talking about Instagram or, that space is, or Twitter, the space is very, very small. So you really got to have some keywords in there that capture people and summarize. But I'm probably talking more the place where we see a more traditional bio that would then be used on, say, a podcast, or if you were speaking, even could lead into your About Us page where you talk about yourself. That would be your LinkedIn bio.
Yeah.
And that's probably where I've been helping people more. And yeah, it's really important, but it's also not something to freak out about. It can be changed. Like I literally changed mine the other day.
Yeah, I update mine regularly because like things change, right? And also you'll have like a new thought bubble and be like, oh, I think that's important.
But the key messages, as I say, like essentially you are who you are. So that's going to not change, but your location could change. The people you serve could change. And I think what's really nice is having that I help or I support or I work with statement as part of, so not just when you open with your bio, not just having a role or title as, so I'm CEO or I'm founder or I'm a business owner, or that's one thing, but or I'm a personal branding coach. It's then, and I help, support, work with. That gives people in one little snippet a really clear idea, oh, this person is for me and this is what they're about. And now I want to read more.
I love that. And I think also, because I know one of the things that a lot of people come to me when I start working with them, and they actually don't even know who they work with. So yeah. I think if we sit down and we actually nut it out at a personal level of, oh, well, who do I want to work with? And I'm going to put this statement into the internet and into the world, that generally is going to help you attract those types of clients that you actually want to work with, right?
Absolutely. And something that as well I see is, people think about it as the elevator pitch, and it's like, my bio has to be my elevator pitch. And it's like, no, I actually don't love elevator pitches. People would probably think that I would. Because I think it's too much pressure. And I think when you write an elevator pitch and you use that pitch over and over, it becomes static and stilted and robotic. And you don't even believe in it. Yeah, I used to say, people go, so tell me about yourself. And I go, so hi, I run Lovelly Communications. I do PR, marketing, social media, and writing. It was like, blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't even like it. Why would somebody else be interested in that? Whereas now I say, hi, I'm Emma Lovell. I'm lovely by name, lovely by nature, which is pretty fun. I have a very catchy last name, so that helps. Lovell.
Damn it.
I'm lovely. I run Lovelly Communications, but I say, I'm a personal branding coach and I help female leaders to show up and make an impact. And they're like, oh, what's personal branding? Or, oh, showing up. What does that mean? Or you think about it, it's like it's like you're sparking a light, you're sparking a conversation. We're not trying to, start a fire on day one, Whereas an elevator pitch, you tell them all this stuff, you talk for 30 seconds and they're like, oh, cool, now I know everything. Thanks, good to know.
Yeah.
It can be actually a conversation ender.
Yeah.
As opposed to a conversation starter. So I tend to only, when I introduce myself, say one sentence. And then they say, oh, that's interesting. And it's a back and forth.
Yeah.
And sometimes I say something different. Oh, I run a podcast and talk about that. Or, oh, yeah, I do some travel writing. You know, it depends on the audience I'm with. And then as we're talking later on, I'll go, oh, yeah, well, I also run I'm also a personal branding coach. The travel writing is more of something I do for funsies and have a background in. And they're like, oh, really? So, but we've already been having a conversation. So we've already started. So I'm talking about, so I am sorry, I've gone off the bio a little bit, but the premise is the same when you're writing this thing, because you probably want to write it to get practice and use it. But here we're talking about writing a bio that's going to catch people's eyes online in the digital space. So you're creating a digital footprint. But I also want you to think about how would you use those words in person, you know?
Yeah.
And so because people can sometimes present really well online, and then when you're in person, freeze and not know how to talk about yourself. Or you're just reading out that script and it's like,
yeah, I'll admit it's something I struggle with, to be honest. When people say to me, oh, what do you do? I'm like, oh, shit.
It's the worst question.
Yeah, I hate that. And it feels like I'm being asked to like put myself into this nice little box. I'm like, well, I'm actually quite a complex human. There's a lot of things.
Hold my beer, sit down.
We
strap
got
in.
Have you got an hour? You need an hour for this. But I've always hated the elevator pitch thing because I feel like I don't deliver it with passion. And I think
you wouldn't.
Yeah, when we're writing, like when we write our bio, when we speak to our bio, whatever it is, I think if you don't have that passion behind what you do, that like it translates to people. They're like, oh, they don't actually really like what they do. You know instantly if someone's talking about their job and they're completely actually disengaged from it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so there's two ways. So there's a thing that you could create today that would really help you is a one pager. And what you want on there is one sentence, 50 words, 100 words, and 200 words about you. You can create a separate one pager about your business. This is about you. So you're talking as yourself. So it's either I am, and then you would write it another way, which is, Emma is, or Beck is, or Rebecca is, however you want to choose to introduce yourself. Beck. Just so you have those two ways of talking. And we've got to remember which audience, so if I'm on LinkedIn, it obviously says my name, Emma Lovell. So I'm going to be talking as I am. Whereas if it's on my business page, Lovelly Communications, I'm going to say Emma is. Yeah. So just remembering which audience you're talking to. Now, some of my clients find it easier one way, and some find it easier the other way. I tend to start with the one sentence and then build upon that. And so when you write those, don't feel like there's heaps of words to write. You're writing a sentence, then your 50 words start with that sentence, you're adding another sentence. With your 100 words, you're starting with the 50 words, you're adding another paragraph. When you go to your 200 words, you've got another 2 paragraphs to work with.
Yeah.
So you've got one sentence, 1 paragraph, 2 paragraphs, 4 paragraphs. It's not a lot, and it's not a lot of space. You're at the 200 word and you're like, holy crap, I've got so much more to say. But in that, and in my example, I should read my own out, but what you want to have is your name, your chosen title, which could be CEO or business owner or change maker or, content creator or queen of, or whatever you want to call yourself. That's fine. It's your title. Nobody's going to argue with you. And then you want your help or support statement. So a really clear, it's your mission. Like, what are you here to do? Who are you here to serve? That'd be a really lovely one sentence. Mine is, I'm Emma Lovell, or Emma Lovell is a personal branding coach. She has a mission to help female leaders to show up and make an impact without the overwhelm, or with integrity, something like that. So that's my little one-liner. Your next line is then going to be about your expertise, your experience, probably your business, or what you're doing. So that would be Emma Lovell has been running her business, Lovelly Communications, for more than 13 years, and she has a background in PR, marketing, social media, and writing. So now you know that I have skills, you know that my business name, you know that I have quite a few years of experience. So if you're writing, I have more than 20 years or 5 years or whatever you have. And just remember with that, if you've only been running your business for 2 years, like you, Beck, you have 20 years of experience.
Yeah.
But, so you don't say I've been running my business for 2 years. You would use the 20 years of experience. So that that builds your confidence and gives you that credibility too.
Yeah, yeah.
You might then go into maybe your mission or why you're here or something like that sort of gives that what's important to you. Then your second paragraph is probably going to be more personal. Where you're located is really important. I always include where you're located. You can add a line of that you work globally or internationally or whatever, but people like to know where people are. So it's a talking point. Oh, I see that you're based in the Gold Coast. Oh, how's the weather? Or, oh, I love the Gold Coast. We always go on holidays there. Or, oh, I'm in Sydney too. Like, it's just a conversation point that was really nice. So location's an easy one to include. You would also then maybe include something else that you do. So for me, it would be my speaking or emceeing, or the fact that I run a podcast. That's important to know. Again, it gives me credibility as a speaker, as a professional, shows that I have many facets to me as well. And then the final line I would include about something very personal, about, your family, your fur baby, your love of the ocean, you're an iron woman, or the fact that you love espresso martinis. I know. I'm describing all of my clients here. I know all of their bios, so I've just combined all of them. But that last line, it's almost like a fun fact or something that's going to connect people. And, one of my clients does have espresso martinis in there, and someone's going to see that and go, oh, well, I'd love to meet you for an espresso martini and chat about, voice casting and podcasting.
Yeah, I love that.
So that's sort of the structure. And then the 200 words, you get to just build upon that a little bit more. But the other way you can do it, start from the 200 words because you have a bit more room to play with, and then you cut it down. Well, what do I have to tell them if I only have 100 words? And then you've got 50 words. What do I have to tell them if I've only got 50 words? And think about somebody reading this out. Like, if someone were to read this out before I stepped on stage or before I joined a podcast, what would I want them to know about me?
Yeah, I love that.
And then your one-liner.
Yeah. That's so awesome. Emma, you have been so helpful for us today. I think that anyone can go away and write a bio now. And if you're stuck, Emma's details are in the show notes, and I highly encourage you to reach out to her. She is awesome. That's why she's on this podcast, right? So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. And yes, remember, you can write it and you can change it. That's the beauty of the internet. If you don't like it, change it.
100%. Yeah. Love that. Well, Emma, thank you so much. I'm sure you'll be back.
I will be back with more fun facts. Bye. Bye.